Thank you guys so much for coming out. It's a beautiful day, finally, in the neighborhood and in Houston. I'm really excited to have Dana Steele joining us again today. She came about a year and a half ago to talk about some other things like how to become a rock star online, which she is certainly a rock star online. But Dana is the creator of Your Daily Success Tip, and she's also the author of Rock to the Top, What I Learned About Success. And by the way, I love that book. Rock to the Top was amazing. I read that after you came last time. That was really fun. And she also is just finished with a book called Surviving Alzheimer's with Friends, Facebook, and a Really Big Glass of Wine. And I'm really excited to hear about this today. I told you we have some Alzheimer's in our family too that we're going through right now. So I'm kind of excited about hearing how you've taken that experience and turned it into a storytelling experience. But I'm also really interested from the perspective of people that are in this room in how we can learn from you about taking things that are happening to us and turning them into stories that kind of resonate with other people and bring them to some kind of realization. And I think in business we often think we can't do that, right? Because we think we're doing it's business, it's real stuff. So I'm really excited to have Dana here. You can see up here we have her Twitter handle is Dana Steele, and so Steele in the end. And also you use SMBHOU on Twitter. We usually like to trend in Houston, so tweet. And just starting with that, could you just tell us how that came to be? I know you were already doing things online before this happened with your mom, but how did it come to be that you felt comfortable like sharing basically your deepest, darkest things that are going on in your life on Facebook? Could you talk about that a bit?
I posed nude and pregnant for the cover of a magazine, so I have no filter to begin with. And I'd been on the radio here in Houston for years and years and years, so my life was kind of out there anyway. I've always been pretty open. But to be quite honest, when we got the official diagnosis that Mom was indeed in the moderate to middle stages of Alzheimer's, my first thought was just horror and fear to have to get on the phone and say 100 times to family members, in-laws, friends, everybody that needed to be told, the people closest to me, my brother, my nieces, they got it. But it just terrified me to have to say 100 times Mom has Alzheimer's, because saying that 100 times made it much more real than I wanted it to be at the time. So I thought, my steel workers, my friends and family on Facebook have always been, such a great network of whether it's business support or who's got the best dry cleaners, whatever. I always reach out to my network on Facebook. And I thought, I'll just post it. And I didn't post it for the support group it became. I posted it just to not have to say it and verbalize it. And when I did, I was completely flabbergasted at how many people responded. Me too, mine too, my grandmother. Oh, I'm so glad. No, I mean, it's like everybody had been keeping this a secret. Why? The best support group in the world are your friends and family and the people who like you. And if they're on your Facebook page, they probably like you. So I was stunned to find out how many people were relieved that I could say it for them.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. And I'm going to back up to something you said. She said her steel workers. So I want to kind of like push into that a little bit about putting together a community over time and sort of what that takes. So can you talk a little bit about how the steel workers came to be?
Yes, I stole it from Stevens and Pruitt and the Groove Dogs. By the way, Laney Griffith from KLVL. I can't say my former partner in crime because he's still my partner in crime, and it's nice that we've been together, what, 6 or 7 years? Is that what it is now? Yeah, because I'm 39, that's my story. Stevens and Pruitt had this just really cool thing, the Groove Dogs, and it just was a brand that stuck, and it was like, I've been on the air here longer than them, and I've got a lot of fans. I need something. And it was a friend of mine, Christy Ayo. Christy and I have been friends since we were 12, 13 years old. And Christy said, well, everybody listens to me at work. They got the groove dogs. I need something. And she goes, steelworkers. I mean, literally, she just said it. And I went, and so we came up with notepads. I mean, Stevenson Pruitt had condoms, which was really better than notepads. The other Wrap That Rascal keychains, which were great. And I was like, okay, they've already done the condom thing, and mine needs to be more because people are listening to me at work. So we came, up with from the desk of a steel worker, which is really cool. Except that now, when people's parents, as they're passing, people go, I was going through their things and I found this. It's like, thanks.
But I think that even saying that is an interesting thing, because I think what we're really aiming for, even if you're a business, is to have a group of fans that come along with you through the years, right? That change with you, that do the things, that do life with you, if you will. And that's a deeper thing than just selling something online, like selling something. And you've, over the years, sold books, and you've sold things, and you sold NASA gear. And I mean, we've talked about all the things you've sold over your life, I think, in the last time. So you guys can go back and look up the video and hear what she had to say last time. But how do you see that as being part of what happened here with this phenomenon?
Thinking about that on the way in today, and just talking to some folks here at the table with Lanny, we had, on average 11 or 12 seconds. Radio was a great training ground for Twitter, by the way. We had like 11 seconds to tell you, the name of the radio station, my name, because we wanted to brand ourselves as well. We learned that early on. What was coming up in case you didn't like the next song, so you would at least stick around and come back, and the name of the song. Block 101 KLOL with Dana Steele coming up. Tickets to Van Halen. Right now, some Led Zeppelin at 101 KLOL. You had to. And when you did have more time, I always found it great to tell a story. One of the things we talked about the last time is I was taught by a program director early on, and I use this on stage, and I use this in all of my social media, is that when you are talking to someone on any of these mediums, you have to imagine you're speaking to one person. Quit broadcasting to a group. I had a program director that told me there may be 50,000 people listening to you, but each person has one heart, one soul, one brain, and one set of ears, and they want to know you're talking to them. And if you can convince them I'm talking to you, then nobody else matters. Because we're always thinking the same thing. What's in it for me? So I would try to tell stories. If I had more than those 11 seconds, I'd say, oh my gosh, just, remember when you and I used to go to the Texas Jam? The Texas Jam was always held when it was 172 degrees in Dallas. And at least it was held in an all-concrete facility. Was dying. And the best place to be backstage at the Texas Jam, they had a cooler of popsicles to keep the crews and the bands and the personnel hydrated. And the best place to sit backstage at the Texas Jam, and I don't tell these stories like this on the air, the best place to sit backstage at the Texas Jam was on that cooler. Because first of all, it was really cool on your ass. And it brought the temperature down 10, 15 degrees. And everyone from, the lowliest unpaid roadie volunteer to the most important managers and rock stars would come to get a popsicle out of that. And that is how I met Van Halen. Here's Van Halen on Rock 101 KLOL. So you would tell a story, and then all of a sudden, people were invested with you. They knew the story. They were along with you backstage. They may never meet Van Halen the rest of their life, but now they feel like they know them. They can see Eddie Van Halen get a popsicle.
What was his name?
I don't remember what that is. Tequila. I don't know. Cocaine.
Tequila with a worm frozen inside. No, that's great. I mean, because I think that what you're saying is actually true too. From what we have to do is to find those places we can hang out online where everybody's coming, and how can you serve them, right? Because that's another thing. I mean, if you handed out the popsicles, you need to be more popular, right?
I charged for
you charge for them. That's lovely. And by the way, this is a commercial break, and my name is Cammie Huizen. This is SMBHOU. I'm sorry, I had to do it.
And I'm at Davis,
don't forget the E. So that being said, I mean, one of the things that we wanted to talk about is authenticity. And I think the storytelling is part of the authentic way to be on social media. So can you give a business, say, or people that are running social media for a brand, either them brand me or brand whatever your brand is today, how can you show that authenticity in what you're doing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Tell the story in everything you do. When you're tweeting out some information about a sale or a product or a service or an event, find a way to do it without it being an advertisement, without it just constantly being broadcast at somebody. Why would somebody come to, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, Matt Burris' friend from HAR? Are you here? There you go. Hi. So what sort of things do you promote on your Twitter account? What sort of things do you promote on your Twitter account?
Social media.
Social, that's good because we're here. You know, instead of saying I'm going to the social media breakfast, say, will you join me at the social? You, bring the you in. Again, you're speaking to one person. No matter how many followers you have on Twitter or Facebook, you are speaking to one person, and start thinking that way and find a way in as few words as possible to tell the story or to let somebody know what's in it for them. I didn't say, come see me at the social media breakfast. I said, tomorrow morning. Are you coming? Question mark. Just to let people know this is what's going on. And I want to get back just a little bit to telling a story. There's an old story about Ernest Hemingway, which if you go online, it is or isn't fact, but we'll just take it as fact for now because it's a great story. But it was an award-winning story. Supposedly he won some great award for this story. Tell the best story you can tell in 6 words. Baby shoes, for sale, never worn. Think about that. That is a heavy, those 6 words say so much. Baby shoes, never worn. And the other day I was on LinkedIn and I saw some guy said, what's the saddest story you can tell in 3 words? Which I'm sure you completely stole this from Ernest Hemingway, but that's what we do. And I loved some of the things people said. The one that really got me was, it is impossible. And mine was, you have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's heavy. And hey, since you're all out there thinking about that, why don't we, during this time, I want to challenge each of you before the end of today, write a 6-word or less story in Twitter, tag it with SMBHOU. Let's do that.
About your company or your business?
Yeah. About your thing. And one of the things that's interesting to me about authenticity is that sometimes, you really connect with that person versus thinking, oh my gosh, that person's bragging yet again. I think that's a thing that happens on social media a lot. Like, oh my gosh, these people are having perfect lives and they're always out meeting Van Halen. And can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think this Alzheimer's thing really shows a different side of like lives aren't perfect. So can you talk a little bit about showing the parts that aren't maybe as good? I don't know how to say that.
I think it makes people relate to you even more when you're not perfect all the time, when you can say, there's been a problem, can you help me? Now, companies have to be really careful with that, but you still can find ways to be authentic and show people your offices, show people your fun side, show people the damn copy machine is broken again. I don't care how far advanced technology is, they still can't make a copy machine that works when it's supposed to. Oh my God, remember the one at Kayla Well? I remember they ran a commercial for a short period of time. I never saw it again, but it was where the copy machine repairman was living in that little section you could open up underneath. And I was like, that was the most brilliant commercial. But show people authenticity about your product and your business and your service. And instead of just, we have a special on Thursday and we have an event on Friday and we have, why should I come? Why should I be there? And I think the more real you are, the more people can relate to you. I just recently signed on as the chief caring expert for caring.com. And not knowing they were looking for a spokesperson, they reached out to me several months ago, and they said, did you use our service for your mom? I said, no, I really didn't know much about you. I looked at your site maybe once, but I didn't use it. And they said, why didn't you use it? I said, because there's nothing but pretty graphics and pretty stock footage on your website, and there's nobody that looks like me, and there's nobody I could relate to on your site. And a few times you did use your CEO, I'm sure he's a nice man, but the average caregiver of an Alzheimer's patient is a 45 to 65-year-old woman. If you had somebody like me talking about how much it sucks on the Today Show or whatever, I would have paid attention, because I then could have related to somebody. You want to relate to people. Who are your audience? Where are they? Why have they bothered to follow you? And what do they want? It's not about you. I talk with my hands.
You had some Italian in your background, right? And it's one of the things I said in the promo for this is how to be a storyteller instead of a story seller. You know, like, are we selling ourselves? Or are we telling a story? So something that brings people in. Can you give us some examples of really great stories that you think have done that?
Oh gosh, I have to think about advertising. When I was just talking about this commercial yesterday, and every once in a while, an updated version of it pops up, and it still makes me tear up. When I was pregnant with my last child, and you know, you cry at everything if you've ever had a baby. It was a Subaru commercial where this young girl, see, she's laughing, gets her keys to her very first car. I was on the couch sobbing, because it was just such a sweet commercial. But you know what? It made me remember the keys to the orange and white Dodge piece of whatever it was I got that I paid $500 for when I saved my money from the worked at, you know, across the street in Quell Valley. And it just made me remember how proud I was and how happy I was to have that car. It's an incredible story. I love the long form videos that some companies do that on YouTube. For example, Purina Cat Chow, Dear Kitten. Have you ever seen that one where it's just the curmudgeon old cat? It's just basically, Dear Kitten, welcome to the friggin' house. Here are the rules. And it's like a 3, 4, 5 minute commercial for Purina Cat. And I'm just like, and we love it so much, our whole family made, you can go on my YouTube channel, in there somewhere, the whole family made a Dear Cat. Thank you for the instruction video. And we filmed our little cat, Tessie, aka Satan's cat, on all the things she did. A story. And what makes a story good? Emotion. Is it sad? Is it happy? Is it funny? Those are the things I look for. We were just talking about this. I said there's a bunch of people I have stopped following. Pretty much use Twitter as a news feed now. You know, pretty much everything I follow on Twitter is AP Newswire, Huffington Post, Mashable, breaking news. But there's a few people I continue to follow. What is the criteria? They always retweet something that's really interesting, it's really funny, or it makes me think. They're not just broadcasting. There's some very prolific people who are very smart, who give lots of speeches all over the country. I had to stop following them because I felt like I was just constantly being broadcast at. They'd gotten away from the stuff that made me want to follow them in the first place. Why should someone follow your Twitter feed or your Facebook page? What are you giving them?
Yeah, and the what's in it for me is really a very good point, because if you're always thinking about that instead of, oh, we have to get this out because we need to let people know about this, which is more about you, right? It's more about me rather than you. And so one of the things that I think is really interesting that you've done really well, and we talk about fans and people that follow us on Twitter, and I think that's part of the language that causes some of the problem. And you know, what's the difference between making those fans feel like they're fans versus like friends? You know what I'm saying? I think that's that personal touch. So can you talk a little bit about even like some stories about how over the years your fans have become your friends in some ways?
Oh, they definitely have. I mean, I don't have a stranger on Facebook or Twitter. I'll talk to anyone, anywhere. My child said to me the other day, would you please quit talking to strangers, man? I grabbed him by the collar and went, everything you have ever gotten to do in your life is because mommy talked to a stranger. Starting with daddy. So, we have followers, we have fans, we have, whatever you want to call them. If you aren't speaking to everybody like a friend, if you're speaking to people like customers and clients, you're doing it wrong. The key word here is social. It's social media. It's not ad agency. It's social media. It's there to be social. Now, obviously, you talk to people in different ways. If you have your LinkedIn and your Twitter and your Facebook tied together, come see me afterwards and I will slap you. No. Somebody goes, well, that's a lot of work. Yes. That's where success comes from. If you're talking to people on LinkedIn, you are in a conference room at work. How are you giving them the information, letting them know what's going to make them more successful? If you're talking to people on Twitter, you are at a happy hour business event. But I still want to either laugh or be given something interesting. And if you're talking to people on Facebook, you are in my backyard at a barbecue. Those are the 3 different ways. That's how you should be talking to people. Facebook is your neighborhood, Twitter is your after hours happy hour, but it's still professional. And LinkedIn, you are still at work. So how are you going to use those 3 different platforms? Yes, I know there are more platforms. I'm like a recipe addict, so Pinterest was like crack. And I had to get off the crack. So I can't possibly cook that many meals. And that's not really my audience, is Pinterest. It may be yours. HAR should be using Pinterest because you could put pictures of all these fabulous places people could be buying or whatever. If you're very, very visual, you could be using that. Use Instagram. I haven't learned Snapchat yet because I'm 56 and I only have so many years left in my life. And I got to catch up on Game of Thrones. I got to catch up on... There's just only so many hours in the day, and Game of Thrones to me is more important than learning Snapchat right now.
Well, that's a good idea. Yes. You can actually stop. No spoilers, dude. Yeah. So yeah, we had Snapchat last month, so these guys are all fully aware of Snapchat.
Don't care. Not drawing pictures on my face.
Not drawing pictures. Yeah, but that's really knowing your audience, right? Is knowing where your audience is and showing up. And a lot of people ask me, where do I show up, or what channels should I use? And that really is a question for them. Audience? That's right. Yeah. So your audience, let's get back to your storytelling and everything. There is also the issue of, I don't know if you've ever been on Facebook and gone down and said, ooh, they're TMI. There's like some TMI things going on too. So when is it too much? When does authenticity? I know. It's like asking the crack addict to not. Anyway, I don't know. But really, what is it? It's too much. I'm sure there's too much even for you when you see other people, right?
Again, what to me is too much is me. I told an awful lot. If you didn't follow the journey, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 3 years ago in March. I did that initial post, and then I started to see things that actually made me laugh. Inappropriate, dark humor. For example, my mother loved Chick-fil-A. And the activities director realized Mom liked it, and every year on the anniversary of Chick-fil-A, if you wear anything with cow stuff on it, not like cow feces, but cow print, there you go. They give you a free lunch. So she dressed up she made cow shirts for a lot of the ladies at Regal Estates, and they all filed onto the little bus, and they went to Chick-fil-A to get their free lunch. And they're all in line, and one of the ladies lost her balance, and they all fell over. That's it. I made sure to note before I posted cow tipping, but that was really... And I think I had to have that release. If I wasn't, if I wasn't laughing, I was crying. So it was a lot more fun to laugh. There were some times when people asked me, what do you think your mom would think about you? Especially as she started to get very haggard and mad and angry. My mother, who was the sweetest, most wonderful, laughing, involved person in the world, was absolutely violent and hateful for the last year. For last week, she was alive. She beat me up. This was a woman who couldn't even hold her head up. I mean, it was, to me, it was very, not only cathartic for me to share this with the audience, but I thought it was so important that you hear the story. Still Alice is an amazing book. It's an amazing movie. Most Alzheimer's patients don't go out quietly doing a crossword puzzle. And that's how the movie ends. You know, it's just, or what was she doing, a jigsaw puzzle or something. I thought, you know what, damn it, I am a well-read, well-traveled, educated woman, knows what Alzheimer's is, knows what the long-term, that was the extent of my knowledge. No one ever talked about this stuff. So that was why I became such a storyteller and took people along on this journey, because I thought it was important for the people who had been through it to know you weren't alone, and for the people who go through it, don't want to scare you, but you need to know. Everything was brand new to me because, and then people would go, oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh yeah, that happened to me. But then people shared such funny stories. One of my favorite stories was a woman walked in and her grandmother porn, like hardcore porn. And her grandmother looked up and went, they have never done this on The Young and the Restless before. And you just have to live at their moment. And she said when her grandmother got distracted, she changed the channel back to The Young and the Restless. But, you know, somehow or another, she ended up. So I wanted, it was nice to laugh. Somebody else told me the story of Ronald Reagan. Every morning, he would get up, he would get dressed, he would go outside, and he would sweep all the leaves out of the pool. It took him hours. He would leave them all in a pile for the Secret Service to clean up. He would go inside, eat his lunch, take his nap, come back out. Secret Service would have dumped all the pool, and Ronald Reagan would then clean the pool again for a few hours. That, to me, was an unbelievably sweet story. That they were just in the moment. So being able to people was extremely cathartic. I'd run into people the next day and somebody would say, are you okay? And I'd say, yeah, fine. They go, oh, your post yesterday was so sad. And I literally couldn't remember what I posted because I'm either, you know, first stage Alzheimer's or it was so cathartic to let go of. It doesn't help with business. But what I'm saying is that, let's get back to it. Social media is social. It is not an ad agency. It is not an advertising vehicle, although it can be the strongest advertising vehicle you have if you use it properly and realize everybody is following you because they hope you're going to give them something that makes them smarter, happier, richer, get lucky, sexier. It's all about them. So what are you giving your audience when you're posting?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's really interesting because we are all looking for loyalty from our customers, right? Customer loyalty is such a big deal. And if you have a loyal customer, why are they loyal to you? That's maybe a good place to start. You know, so when you're thinking about what your audience or what you can give to the people who are following you, maybe that's a good place to start. Like, who already is somebody that I can think of in my mind that I know has been somebody who's been with me, that's been a customer of ours or a fan of ours or whatever. You guys are all coming from very different places, I know. And then take that person in your mind and say, what would they want? And if you start with that, I don't know. I mean, how have you done it with your steelworkers? I mean, what person do you think of in your mind?
My audience has changed so much, but I've always thought about back to that early day when the program director, Rick Lambert, said, always imagine you're speaking to Christy, my best friend I spoke of earlier. How would you tell Christy the weather? How would you tell Christy we're having an event this weekend? Why would Christy want to come? You know, how, and so I have to always think who is my audience, and my audience is really evolving now. Your Daily Success Tip started as a veiled way to promote my speaking, and then it gave like a little monster. It gained a life of its own, which is lovely, but I should have named it Your Weekly Success Tip. So, but, you know, if you do follow it, you may have noticed you haven't gotten a tip in the last week. I'm retooling, I'm rethinking, I'm refocusing, because over the last few months, my audience has started to change. not so much from business and entrepreneurs, small business, social media. I'll still always have a handle on that because I am a serial entrepreneur and I'll never be able to get away from it. But a lot of my audience is now evolving to those 45 to 65-year-old caretakers of people with, our parents are starting to age. And I'm trying to retool things. I've even changed my profile on some things, and it's going to take me probably another week or 2 weeks to get everything changed across the board. But I no longer tell people I'm a speaker. I've never felt comfortable saying I'm a speaker. I've never, as much as I love getting on stage, I can talk to 20 people, I can talk to 20,000 people. It doesn't matter. I love a stage, and I love getting up on stage and telling stories. I don't have PowerPoints and ROI and ABC and DEF and, you know, I'm not a white man in a suit and tie with a PowerPoint, a business speech. If that's what you're looking for, you just hired the wrong speaker. But I realized I'm a storyteller. I love to take stories and make a point. I spoke to the Entrepreneurs Organization at the Four Seasons Hotel a couple weeks ago. These people have been in intense business speeches and seminars and workshops all day long. All they want to do is have a cocktail. They have no idea I'm followed by 2 hours of PowerPoint. They have no idea what's getting ready at them. And they have been slamming cocktails in the bar, and they are loud, and then all of a sudden there's a speaker. It was the day Prince died. So I just got on stage, I got their attention for a minute, and I said, you know, I just want to tell you a story about Prince. They all got quiet. And I told them a true story about Prince and told them what they could take away. I'll tell you the short version because I know we're running, and a few people said they wanted to ask questions. Okay, here's my Prince story. A friend of mine was a little bit of an outcast, a little bit different as a kid. He discovered the piano. He dressed weird. He just never felt like he fit in until he heard his first Prince song. And then he saw a Prince video. And it made him feel like it was okay to be different. And he basically, this is the condensed version, but he basically, when he became an adult, drove to Minneapolis, knocked on the door of Paisley Park, and said, I want to work here. And they hired him to work in the retail, which was away from Paisley Park, but they gave this kid a job. He was a keyboardist. And eventually they decided to move all of Prince's businesses to within Paisley Park, including the retail shop there in Minneapolis. So they moved everything to Paisley Park. And he's like, you mean I'm going to work for Prince in his house where I'll like see him every day? And he did. He worked for him, I think, for about 3 or 4 years. And but he said he was always the most giving individual. I mean, here this kid, you know, just knocks on the door. I want a job. And these people said, come on in. And I had seen an interview that day with Stevie Wonder, who had a phrase for Prince that I just loved. He said, Prince had a consciousness of giving. A consciousness of giving. There's just something about that phrase that I really loved. And I thought, you know, the people that are truly successful in this world have a consciousness of giving. So that's what I told these millionaires sitting out in this audience. That's great, you're millionaires. It's great your companies are successful. But if you want to be successful and stay at the top and continue to evolve, I want you to go back to your businesses on Monday after this conference and ask yourself the question, do you have a consciousness of giving? Rock stars do. So that was the story.
That's awesome. I'm going to act a pause right there and kind of open it up to the audience. Does somebody like want to share something, or do you have a question? I'd like to have a little bit of a conversation with Dana about storytelling. Maybe you have a story of your own that you could share with us that has worked for you.
Somebody asked me at an event recently, can you tell us a really or many reasons? No.
I was in high school. I had big hair.
You know, I used to be, here's another good story. When my first child went to kindergarten, I was still on the air. And I was used to people coming up to me and going, oh my God, I listen to you all the time, I love you. And then when my second kid started kindergarten, I had to get used to, oh, my dad loved you. Oh, but wait. And then when my third son started kindergarten, I was like a homeroom mom or something. I was a chaperone at the dance, and one of the other moms who was like 12 came running in, and she said, "Oh my God, don't move, my grandfather's here. He loves you." And she went running off, and her husband just leaned over and went, "Don't hit her. I'll give you wine." Be nice to the people.
Be nice to the people. The best. Yeah. I kind of felt that way when the 80s became oldies. I was like, what?
90s are oldies now.
I know.
90s are oldies.
Anyway. So,
okay, one more.
All right, okay, all right. Wait. She wants the mic. Don't drop the mic, okay?
No, who your audience is. This drove me crazy. I had to write something for Huffington Post a couple of weeks on this one. I was watching when we were having all the floods. I hope you're all okay, your houses and everything. One of the reporters on Channel 11 said, apparently a tornado has been through here and a tree has fallen on the house, and I believe the elderly one in the house has been killed. Very sad, very, very sad. She comes back an hour later with the update to the story, and she says, again, we're in front of the house where the tree has fallen, and an elderly woman, Jane Doe, age 62, and I was like, get the fuck out of here, 62? And those were my exact words in the kitchen. Then my 16-year-old said, there's really no need for that language.
That would have been 25 cents fine in my house. I would have been fine.
I put $100 bill in that game. We're not playing that game anymore.
You paid ahead. Whew, okay, great. That was awesome. Yeah, I don't know how to follow that up, frankly. I'm sure you don't either. So how about, do any of you, are any of you having some, like, what do I tell a story about? Maybe we could do a diagnosis.
Okay, I'm going to pull somebody out of the audience. I'm going to do Meredith. Meredith is working with you. Give me that mic again.
Okay.
I'm doing a commercial from Meredith. Meredith is working. Meredith was one of my record folks, and we had a grand time. And Meredith works with, Meredith, come up here a minute. She works with Lock Bryan Productions. Disclaimer, I am an investor, but they do, if you've ever seen the really cool Fiesta commercials with the Reverend Willie G giving like his recipe for guacamole, I love those commercials. And by the way, those commercials tell a story. We want you to go to, we want you to go to Fiesta and buy avocados. But yeah, Fiesta avocados. But we want you to, make a guacamole because ZZ Top makes a guacamole. Great guacamole. So, but you guys use these spots to tell a story. So tell me maybe another one that you're working on like that you've told a story. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but that's what Lock Bryan does. I mean, they're a great production company, and they tell a story.
I appreciate that. Good morning, you guys. Actually, the Billy Gibbons, I have to go back to that because the music for that commercial was actually him just playing. So he came out in his Billy Gibbons time, and that was a couple hours later than we booked the filming. But he showed up, and he was so fabulous, and we didn't really have a music to the commercial yet. And in between shots, he was just back there on his guitar. And we loved it so much that they ended up using the music from Billy Gibbons just playing. And when you see those commercials, it's just him. And also the Christmas spot that we did with him, our food stylist had created these Billy Gibbons cookies. And they were just for the commercial, they were just to be pretty. And when the commercial aired, everybody was going into Fiesta and asking for those cookies. So Fiesta actually had to come back and create the cookies from the commercial. so that was a really cool thing. And to tell a story, one of the newest ones, I just worked with Cisco Foods, and they hired us to create a video for a kind of a happy look and feel video for a live event for their president's award ceremony. And we put together an incredible video going over all that they did and really focusing on the people And because I came from music, I was a record rep before that, we sunk it to really, really lovely, great, positive, popular music. And it was a huge hit. And it was so fun to work with Cisco Fruit, so much fun. And so we're always telling people stories. That's the art of a video commercial and anything you do online.
I have a question for you about that.
Yeah.
How do you find those stories? Like, you know, these brands come to you and they say, we want to do this commercial. And certainly social media is not too different than that. You know, we have to come up with, what are we going to say? What are we going to do? How do you pull those stories out of them?
More listening than speaking. I mean, that is truly the end of the story. If we come in and we say, well, we've done Fiesta, and we've done Academy, and you've done Schlumberger, and let us tell you how you communicate to your audience, we're going to miss the boat completely. So the first step in any commercial, in any storytelling, in any online video, is to go in and talk to the client and say, tell me your story. Tell me how you got here. Tell me where you want to go. And then we can use our expertise and our history to create that. And we have some knowledge of doing that, but the first step is to hear from the client, because as Dana so succinctly said, every story is intimate and every story is its own. And every company, I mean, if you talk to people and find out where they came from, it will amaze you. Years ago, I did a 3DS animation for Nintendo. And they flew out and met with me, and I was so intimidated. And one of the men that came in was the third highest Nintendo. And I sat over there and I was listening instead of talking. And he said, do you know I named Mario? Your name's Mario? And he said, yes. I said, tell me, yes, how did you name Mario? And he said, we had 3 employees, you know, that worked at Nintendo. And Mario was the cleaning guy, and we couldn't think of a name. So we loved Mario, we named Mario. Mario. And there you go. So those are the stories that you get.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing with us. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not near as irritated with that stupid
Now you love that Mario guy, right? I love Mario. It's awesome. Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, does anybody else have like a story like that that they could tell? I know that for us here at Social Media Breakfast, we, you know, had this is an amazing community, but this community was born in a small place at Coffee Grounds. How many of you were here for the first couple of, yeah, we have a few.
I think Meredith touched on something here.
Video. If you are not using video to tell a story, what you do, everything is going more and more towards video. Video on Snapchat, video. I did a live video feed. I give away laptops for fun to high school students. Long story. You know, I was able to do a live video feed to people. I wanted people to join me and see the look on these faces when these high school students trapped in poverty find out we've just given them a brand new laptop and it's all theirs. And it was so cool. And if you're not utilizing the live video function on Facebook, you're missing out. It's just so cool. Now, if you use it to show me you're eating blue yogurt, I will block you. I don't care. And if it's a cat video, it better be funny. But, you know, again, if you're going to use it to tell a story. Is it funny? Is it interesting? Is it helpful? Is it informative? Is it any of those things? If not, ask yourself that every time you get ready to tweet or post. But start using more and more video. I've started trying to use more that I love to write, and I write a lot about caregiving for the Huffington Post and for caring.com as I start to evolve into this arena. And I do, and I've discovered people like the videos more than the article. So I'll write an article, but then I'll do a video to go along with the blog post where I talk about, the latest one was therapeutic fibs. Why it's necessary sometimes to lie to a dementia Alzheimer's patient. We call them a therapeutic fib. It's like, Mom, why don't you let, Scooter really needs to use your car. Since you're living so close to me, why don't we let him use your car for say 2 or 3 months? It makes you such a great mom. You'll be a hero. And then you're going to be with me all the time anyway. Well, that's how we took the car away from my mom. because it had to be done. But we didn't say we're taking the car away because you can't drive, you're too dangerous. Instead, we made her feel like the hero for loaning my brother the car. And, you know, after 3 months, she forgot about the car, sort of. It took a while, a few more fibs. But if you can turn your piece into a video that tells a story, you grab that customer, that potential client for even longer.
Video, and I'm glad that you brought up video because it is so important. I think all of us here know that, right? But how many of you feel a little uncomfortable turning on the video and just starting talking to it? I'll be honest, I do sometimes. But one of the things that I found, especially like doing this social media breakfast for so many years, practice makes perfect. Do you know what I'm saying? The more you do it, the more comfortable you feel. Coming up and interviewing people, I wasn't super comfortable with that in 2009. You know, but in 2016, 17 and beyond, you become very comfortable with these things. So just start doing it. And I do like your, is it useful? Is it funny? Is it entertaining? All of the things you said. Is it informative? What's in it for them? And if you can just think like that and get on, and if it's not perfect, you know, do it on Snapchat. It's gone in 24 hours.
Always face the light.
Yeah, always face the light. That's a great video trick. I take my laptop and put it in front of the window and open the blind so it's like this. Yeah, no wrinkles. They go away under the light. So, and people don't care. People don't care if the lighting is just right or the sound is just right. Or that makes you even that much more authentic. Go around your office and interview people. Interview people and let people get to know your CEO, your staff, your Mario. And it makes people relate that much more that you're more than just a brand, you're a person. And when you need to buy something or need a recommendation, who do you go to? You don't go to a stranger, you go to a friend. So just talk to people on social media like they are friends.
I mean, can you imagine what it would have been if they'd done a Facebook Live with Mario? I mean, that would have been amazing, right? So wasn't there yet. So we have a lot of really amazing things this year that we can start using with the live video and things like that. Do take advantage of it. Don't miss the opportunity. I agree with that 100%.
If you make a mistake, no one cares. Unless you're a brain surgeon.
Yeah, don't make a mistake unless you're a brain surgeon, she says, for the people online. Yeah, I think that's a good advice. Anyway, I think we're kind of out of time. Does anybody have anything you want to say, or you guys are so quiet today? Oh, there, yes.
So I have a lot of clients that will come to me and say, I'm working out, I finally need to start using social media, and like they
I'll do social media, says her clients.
Why should I have to do it now? And I have my own answers. I would love to hear.
Okay, so she asked, why do I have to use social media? I've never done it before. She works with a lot of small businesses and nonprofits and that kind of thing. And they're saying, why do I have to do this now? I always was successful. I'm successful without it. Why do I need it?
Tell them it's not about you. It's really not about you. It's about your customer. How do they consume? I use the example, if you wanted to talk to my mother, you had to call her on the phone or go knock on the door. If you want to get me, email me. That's the best way to get my attention. Everything else, there's so many platforms get lost. If you want my 27-year-old, you need to text him. I asked him once, do you use email? And he said, oh yeah, for you and my older professors. Never emailed him since. If I want to get my 20-year-old's attention, I tweet or Facebook an unattractive picture of him. Or say something truly embarrassing, and then I immediately, you get that. He reported me to Facebook for inappropriate behavior. When he was 11 years old, he was absolutely fascinated with Donald Trump, and I got Donald Trump to sign an autograph picture for him and got him a "You're Fired" shirt and posed with it. And I posted that on Facebook, and he tagged it as inappropriate. Facebook contacted me and told me I needed to take that down. But another user had been complaining. how I get the 20-year-old. And then the 14-year-old, my 16-year-old absolutely hates social media. He has no need, he's a geek. He just wants to program computers. And he's actually back to using email and texting. That's how. So it's all about, I have to tell, it's not about you. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's not about you. It's about the consumer. How do they consume? And where do they consume? And also, may I just add, and how does your customer want to pay you? I have the best dog groomer in the world, but I have told her I can no longer use her because she won't take credit cards. I haven't had a checkbook for 3 years. I Venmo, I PayPal, I use Square. If I cannot pay for something in one of those platforms, I never have cash because I do have a teenage son. Never cash in my wallet, maybe $1. And she's like, well, maybe you could just pay me $500 and I just hold on to it and subtract as we go along. No, that needs to be in my account. And it's like, I really like the way you do business, but it's how I want to pay. And people say all the time, well, it's not secure. Yes, it is. Learn Venmo, learn PayPal, learn Square, get all these things because I need to be able to find your product, find your information the way I want to find it, and pay you the way I want to pay you.
So that's amazing. We're going to kind of end on that. I'm going to actually have Lenny come around. If you guys would like to win Dana's book, you can put your card in the bucket. And by the way, I don't put those in my system because I don't have time for that. But if you do want to join the mailing list, you can go to text 44222. You just do our SMBHOU to 44222. So if you can do that, then you'll be on our list and be notified what's coming up. But I just want to thank you, Dana, for coming again and like sharing with us your way of kind of looking at the world. I think it's very refreshing and it's good for people in business. So let's give her a hand for just really like sharing with us today and coming out. And coming all the way up from Seabrook, which is no small task on 45 there. So thank you so very much. Does anybody have they want to talk about while we're doing the cards? Does anybody have a job that they want to? All right, come on up.
I'm gonna get
You can get out. Yeah, you can get out.
I'm allergic.
Wait.
I'm allergic to jobs.
Yes. Okay.
Can I hug you?
Yes, you
Because
can. Oh, yeah.
I love everything you've said this morning. It's just.
Well, I'm gonna be around for more hugs. I'll be over here.
She'll be in the corner here hugging, and I think she might have brought some books with her. Did you? If anybody wants a book and doesn't win it, how much would you sell a book for?
They're $20 even. I don't make you do math or anything.
So if you want to buy a book from Dana today, $20, and she'll sign it, I'm sure, right? Well, we'll get it. We'll help you with that. All right.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody? Come on. Houston, Texas. Yeah. I have loved everything you guys have said this morning. I want you to know that the concept of opening, of being honest, or being authentic, being personable in social media is incredibly difficult for me, and maybe for some of you also. I started my career with two very, very significant professional handicaps. One, I am a certified public accountant, and two, I am a lawyer. Okay, so when you have those two strikes against you, this is very, very difficult. But now I'm sort of a recovering lawyer. We have a company here in Houston. Dana, you said know your audience, right? Okay, I want to know the audience. First of all, how many of you are from Houston? Raise your hand. Okay, how many of you would like to look 15 years younger? Raise your hand. Yes. How many of you?
If we work for you, we'll be 15 years younger.
Yes. And you can make a lot of money. Yes. Once right? Yes. Hands. Good. So we have a company here in Houston called Lucerity International. We're a cosmetics and skincare company, and we have distributors all over the world who sell our products. So we have about 100,000 people in 16 different countries who we have to engage with every single day. That is our challenge. They are selling our product, representing our product. We have to dialogue with them, and we need to use social media better to do that. So it's a really, really big challenge for us. So we're looking for somebody who knows video, who knows storytelling, who knows really how to engage on a personal level with masses of people. So if anybody's interested, please let us know. Thank you.
You can put that also on our website. We've got if you go onto the Facebook page, on the Houston Social Media Facebook page, if you have a job, you can post it there and you can see what all the jobs are. There is actually some really good stuff on there right now for those of you who are looking for jobs, if you are. Anybody else have a job that they want to announce? No, okay, come on, Lenny. Did everybody get their card in here that wanted to? Yes, 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 okay, good, here we go. Who wins? Who's gonna be my winner today? All right, Sybil, yay! The Salvation Army, doing good. Perfect, doing good, yay, this is perfect. All right, guys, we will be back here next month on the second Friday in June. I hope you all will come, and loved having you today. Come on up, say hi, get some hugs from Dana, and we'll see you next month, okay? Bye. Thank you.